Meditation Masterclass 2, Essence of Meditation. In the previous session, we discussed how easy it is to misunderstand meditation for n number of subjective states, and how easy it is to get lost in them and never arrive at true meditation. Now, all of that doesn't mean that meditation is an abstract and remote state unnatural to humans. In fact, meditation is most spontaneous and natural state which has been lost during conventional education and affairs of daily life. As a matter of fact, in the unmodified state of our mind, one doesn't need a dedicated meditation practice. All the actions and inactions are spontaneous meditations, and this essence of meditation is expressed beautifully in many Chinese and Japanese ink paintings where a water bird, such as a heron, is depicted standing on one leg. And in fact, it is generally accepted that the former part of Chinese pictogram Guan or Quan um, describes such a bird, and the latter part shows activity of the eye. So the word Guan or Quan could be described as observation as that of a tranquil heron, or simply tranquil observation, which is a well accepted form of meditation in Taoism. A heron, while looking for a fish, doesn't struggle moving its head left and right. It stands absolutely tranquil, relaxing the eyes, relying solely on the peripheral vision, and as soon as some movement is noticed in the water, it darts towards the fish like an arrow shot by a skilled archer, and before you know, task accomplished. This should be the attitude of a meditator, because all our senses, including our mind, work best when they are relaxed and allowed to work with spontaneity, with trust. Consider this for a moment. Do our eyes need to make an effort to capture the light reflected by the objects? Do our ears need to make an effort to clutch the sound waves? Can we taste better by stiffening the tongue? Does the, does the nose make an effort to accumulate the fragrance? Can the texture of a surface be felt better by applying undue pressure with fingers? I don't think so. It happens spontaneously. The light falls spontaneously and effortlessly on the retina. The smell pervades the air and enters the nostrils spontaneously. The sound waves beat the eardrums in the passivity, and tongue doesn't stiffen to taste better, and the texture of any surface is felt best by modest touch of fingertips and not by exerting undue pressure. Similarly, the mind is much greater instrument in its passivity than in its activity, and this is an age-old truth that has stood the test of time. However, if one is asked to look carefully at something such as a screen or an object, one habitually tenses the eyes, hunches the backs, tends to hold the breath, stiffens the body, and gets tensed both physically and mentally. But this has nothing to do with careful observation. It doesn't improve one's ability to observe carefully anything. It actually worsens one's ability to observe carefully, and also hurts one's health in the long run. Why does this happen? That should be your next question. And in my opinion, the cause for this phenomenon is twofold, which includes the physical and mental conditioning of modern man. The former has to do with schooling. Children inherently tend to be restless and playful, and they move their heads here and there, accompanied by occasional movements of hands and feet, twisting their spine, etc., during a lecture. And though this doesn't mean they have poor attention or disinterestedness, and it is a clinically proven fact that children around 5 have much better memory than most adults. Nevertheless, the conventional teacher associates this with attention deficit and screams, "Sit still! Pay attention!" And eventually, child, just to show that he's being attentive, hunches the back, puts the elbows on the desk, resting the chin on the palm, stares at the blackboard, and soon one starts associating this uncomfortable and hazardous position with being attentive throughout one's life. The latter has to do much with our mental cultivation. We tend to observe and simultaneously derive abstraction out of our observation. This results into physical and mental strain or tension because the reality is much more complex and could be compared to a complex curve or a circle, whereas our thoughts and theories and abstractions are by analogy linear in comparison. And what we observe it as a whole. However, when we have to theorize it, we fragment observation into numerous systems and subsystems. And however helpful this habit might be, it is like trying to drink an ocean with a fork. It can't be done. And if one tends to think always in terms of abstractions, then one starts mistaking the abstractions for reality. And on account of these two habits, we tend to give a tremendous amount of importance to self effort, and everyone from our parents and teachers to popular culture all scream out loud, if you want to succeed, work hard. And this catalyzes, if not creates, all modern psychophysical ailments, including anxiety, depression, substance abuse, migraines, headaches, etc. And phrasing it simply, we can say that nature is much more mightier and grander when compared to the strength of man, and nature seeks balance through its process of homeostasis, by which most things fall in their place on their own. However, sometimes by violent striving and overexertion of effort deceives us to believe that we have power over nature, whereas we might be actually climbing the mountain which could have been avoided by traveling around it. Fundamentally, all we can do is align ourselves with the natural course of things rather than fighting them. Right action, equipped with right knowledge at right time, does more profound impact than a wild, lame attempt of violence. Violent attempt to turn a key and force an old lock open would either lame the key or the lock or both. But a skillful jittering of key in wise hands can open the lock almost instantaneously. Sometimes we need to initiate an immediate action, and hence the proverb, a stitch in time saves nine. While most things actually require letting go of the urgency and violent exertion of will and effort, that is to ease, and when one is not at ease, one is at disease. And let's take the analogy of forging a sword or a blade, a knife or something, but a sword is much better example. You need the right quantity of steel at the right temperature, hammered with just the right amount of force. Anything more or less, the sword would be either too brittle or too ductile, either of which would cost you life. Or let's take a more light-hearted example. You can sow the seeds, take all necessary care and precautions, but ultimately one has to wait for the plant to grow. One shouldn't try to make the plant grow faster by pulling it off the ground. And we do this. We often say that try to fall asleep, which is like trying to pull a plant off the ground in order to make it grow faster. But only if we were to let go of this effort, and one's relaxed, and if one is tired, one falls asleep quite spontaneously and effortlessly. Similarly, if one were to reverse these two protocols, these two conditioning, one might spontaneously be in a state of profound meditation, and all methods of meditation aid in reversing these two flawed habits by gradually peeling off the layers of conventional conditioning one by one. To summarize the whole topic, it wouldn't be inappropriate to say that meditation is not mind's inept attempt to grasp and possess the reality. It is rather an attempt of the mental consciousness to reject the movements and tendencies stimulated by the lower nature and its own habit of clinging to objects of sense delight and perception of world in the terms of thoughts and concepts, and in order to regain the rejoice of being possessed and uplifted by the reality which is none other than one's own supreme self. And this to end this session, let's read few lines from the epic Savitri by Sri Aurobindo. These lines are from Canto 4, The Secret Knowledge, and brilliantly capture the true essence of meditation in a very few words. The lines are as follows. Then the small bodily ego thins and falls, no more insisting on its separate self, losing the punctilio of its separate birth. It leaves us one with the nature and with God. In the moments when the inner lamps are lit and the life's cherished guests are left outside, our spirit sits alone and speaks to its gulf. A wider consciousness opens then its doors, invading from spiritual silences. A ray of timeless glory swoops a while to commune with our seized illumined clay and leaves its huge white stamp upon our lives. That's it, folks. Thank you. And I wish you a very good weekend and hope to see you next week. Ta-da! Please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon.